Hello, my name is Alfredo and you are welcome to my piano spacetime. In this video we will work around one Baroque piece from the composer Gottlieb Muffat. I can guess that for most of us this name was unknown until this point. However, Muffat is a composer who lived between 1690 and 1770. He was active at the court of Vienna as organist, and also he became the music teacher for the imperial family. And among his pupils, he would have also the girl who will become the Empress of the Austrian Empire, Maria Theresa. As far as I know, Muffat composed mostly for keyboard, and I think that most of his works remains unpublished until this day. However, this video, as typically my videos, will be largely practical and will go right away to see the music score. And what you will be seeing is basically my way of working on the notes to build up my confidence in the right things to do, and especially also in what I do to try to develop a musical choreography in my gestures. A few more words regarding the music score. What I'll be displaying here is a version that I found on the public domain from Petrucci Music Library IMSLP. That music score is very interesting because it is loaded heavily with a number of ornaments. But we have to keep in mind that those ornaments were thought for performing this piece at the harpsichord, an instrument that is very different from what the piano is today. And this not only in acoustic terms, but also in terms of how the action is working under your fingers. With this, what I mean to say? I mean to say that, well, not necessarily what become relatively natural and musically very effective with the harpsichord could be the same if we want to play those things at the piano. And on top of this, I won't hide the fact that certain ornaments, trills basically, are one of the most challenging problems in technical terms at the piano. And this is not in my own words, but in the words of some of the greatest concert pianists that you find around at international level. So I believe that it would be entirely up to you at the end to decide what degree, what number of ornaments to include in your performance. And if you feel that you are at a basic level of your technical skills, I would advise skip them completely, in the sense that you will find a very lovely, exquisite piece of music even without those complications. And why not? After you have worked on the lean set of notes without ornaments, if you like, if you have time, you can start investing some time in adding here and there some of them and seeing how it is difficult and if it is worth for you doing all that work. The last thing about the music score, the set of ornaments that I am playing is what I found in the score that is included in this very nice collection of Baroque pieces. Well, if you are watching this video from some countries from the so-called Western world, I guess it will be basically impossible to locate this book, because the reason why I have it is because I found it in a music shop during one of my travels in Far East, in particular in Taiwan. But in case some of you is watching this video from some countries in the eastern side of the world, Hong Kong, Taiwan, I guess that it would be relatively easy, I guess, to find this book around, and it contains a number of jewels of Baroque time period. And when I found that many years ago, it was sold at a very, very reasonable price. It's time to start with the keyboard, so stick with me in case you are curious to see in which way I build up my confidence with the notes of this very lovely piece. A few introductory words in practical terms. Normally, what I prefer to do when I start working on a new piece is not to start from bar 1 and going through until the very end. Instead, I cherry pick around the score those points that are more scary for me, so that eventually in the total amount of time that I will be dedicating to my work on the piece, it will be on the most critical parts that I will concentrate my attention and my time. I think this is very important. Also, at times, I think that I like to do is to start a piece working on it from the end. Let's say if I see that basically is quite uniform in technical terms, because what I like to do at the end of my study session is to end with a sight reading of everything. And so when you sight read a piece in the first times, you feel that it's kind of generating some fatigue going on because of all those little or big errors that you come across. And so if I start working from the very end, what it happens is that after several days, I start becoming more confident, and it is easier in playing those parts instead in the beginning. So the sense of tiredness, of fatigue that I built up after the beginning where I didn't work yet is compensated by the things that become more fluid when I reach the last parts of the piece. So let's start for keeping a good order in the presentation from bar 1, just for this practical reason. And the thing I prefer typically to do is to start with the left hand. All right, we have this chord here. And just spend a few seconds to feel, is it sufficiently comfortable for you to use 4, 3, 1 as fingers to land on these notes? Because I feel, and I have a relatively big hand, I feel a slight sense of tension because of the separation between the 3 and the 4. Now, if this sense of tension for your hand become excessive, I would suggest relax that, and instead of using the 4, use the 5. It's true that you lose the possibility of a physical connection with what will come later, the A. You need to use the same finger for that, but you know, in Baroque music, the connection, that legato, was something less frequent than what I believe we tend to think. And you can play with a non-legato, even if it is obliged for the fingering, to make sure that it becomes musical, and it could be perhaps even very interesting. However, in my case, I like to use the 4, it's not that difficult, and let's see what I do. It's enough, I think. Now, especially if you are not warm, if you just started your time at the piano, I suggest to spend a few times your time in basic fall practicing the fundamental action in piano technique. So repeat this chord 3-4 times, falling on that, dropping. Remember that there is gravity around, try to use that. And the first time it might be relatively uncomfortable, and the more you repeat this gesture, you should feel that you land more steadily, and you should aim to maintain in your wrist, in your forearm, in your arm, up to your shoulder, a sense of relaxation. Instead, it's in the fingers, in the end, that you want the structural presence to make sure that you land on the right notes. So this is a first rough outlining, and we are trying for each of these steps to locate a body configuration and a tiny gesture that in a way is comfortable for us. What has happened here? Okay, just a second, let me fix this. Okay, I hope things are now in order. And now, after we have practiced this basic training, we start connecting a bit things, but paying attention between one note and the other, since there is some time going, not to build up, to remain with unnecessary tension in our muscles and body. Right hand. Also here, a few times a warm-up basic practice. What is it that we are doing? We are trying to, wake up our conscious and unconscious awareness about the thing that playing piano is something that happens in space, in a three-dimensional reality. Is not like typing. We should, to a certain level, engage the entire our body with tiny and though present movements and choreography. Now, we want to move to the legato. We are in front of an air, right? So it's a simple piece with a singer on the top and an accompaniment in the bass. But you will see the accompaniment that is very simple, very few notes, is so precious for the emotional establishment of the message in the music, with those delicate comments or integrations to what the main line the singer is doing. And now, keep in mind, legato in the piano is not simply to connect one key after the other. But I suggest try to get engaged again with a fluid physical presence in it. So think like you are shifting your weight from one key to the other, like if you walk slowly and you shift your weight from one foot to the other in a seamless game of continuity. And I suggest you can a bit exaggerate, at least at the beginning, your movements so that you are sure that you're active and you're kind of participating in the music flow. That is what will make magic listening to the piece at a certain point. And you see, it is an air, and I think there is this remark probably from Muffat, I'm not sure, cantabile, singable. So I think it's quite appropriate to apply a slight disconnection, that is basically breathing after the first four notes and before continuing with. Imagine there are a few words, you are kind of introducing your message, you have spent these few words, then you breathe and you continue. And so on. Let's put together the hands. About the tempo that you want to play with that, explore that according to what your sensitivity is telling you to do, because I guess there is no way to understand exactly what Muffat had in mind, and probably what he had in mind is not the only thing that makes this piece beautiful. So it could be more on the side of quick pace andante, or if you prefer, you can extend that to a near adagio if you want to sing, especially if you have a nice piano with a nice sustained sound. You might enjoy to, like singers often do, they tend, the few times I had an experience with singers, kind of had the feeling that they like sometimes to expand the time because they want to enjoy the beauty of their voice. So you might play with these things in what it fits better your taste. keep going. So here, for the last time, I showed that basic propedeutic preparation, and then I skipped that not to make this video long, 4 hours. We play that with legato, but I mean, repeat this step as many times as you feel appropriate and over a few days. Now we go ahead with some legato here. Right hand. Work to achieve a sense of fullness, of comfort, of relaxation when you fall on each of these keys. Here there is this unusual fingering suggested here. I think it's a good idea. So 5, 4. I'm doing it too quick because I have some anxiety not to be too much boring, but take your time, not in the way I am doing. Take your time between each key strike to recover a sense of presence in your gesture. And once you're done with that, okay, let's move to develop fluidity. Again, it is not ta, 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 but a weight continuous shifting. And I guess it's very typical in music, especially in the antique music, to consider to play a bit more delicately the D after the E flat, rather than okay, let's keep going. And here I'll contradict myself again. I will show this basic training because we have this scale that is not a scale, is an ornament, right? So you might wanna at the beginning to skip that and to go to the basic melodic and harmonic structure underneath the scale. I mean to say, think like this would be behind the ornamentation. Towards a legato, and the scale again very important, weight shifting all along. And try to accomplish freedom in your arm, perhaps exaggerating it at the beginning to make even unnecessary movements to make sure that it is not locked, frozen. simple but very important. So I feel there is a sense of intensity growing. So pay attention that each of these notes, if you like this idea, shouldn't be same as the one before, but slightly more intense. Yes, I went on until, the 4 bars from the first one I started at, just because it's so simple. There are few notes, so why not? Putting together. Same thing here for this ornament scale, so I will not repeat because it would be really very boring for you. And why not? Perhaps after these 2 lines, when you start feeling that the keys are at the right place and in a way you start feeling what you want to do with the music, if you like the idea, check what you could do with the pedal, that is a tool available with this beautiful instrument. I don't even remember, without playing what I'm doing with the pedal. I'll try maybe to represent that in the score. Let's see how it comes for me. What is evident? Sometimes I do something slightly different. For example, I think at times I just feel naturally to start with the pedal somewhere at the very beginning, like. But trying to apply very bridge touches in general. So let's move on. Left hand first. There is this arpeggio. If it is uncomfortable for your hand to use the 4th finger on the first note, at this point, no choice, you just release your connection. You could use these fingers in case. However, this is what I do. If you like the idea, if you are with the 4 on the B flat, hold that before landing on the next chord. Right hand. Intentionally, I avoided to play the few ornaments I have here in front. We'll work on that soon, but later. So. And now I even removed the secondary written notes to just understand the basic rhythm in this line without those complications. I do it again. Now we add the written secondary notes. the trill apology. Now the trill, the first one that I have here in my score is on the E natural, so I think there are two reasonable choices, 3-2. Yes, if I use those fingers, I think I would prefer to be with the 5 on the B flat right before. Otherwise, another possibility that it's what I use because I like in the repetition generally to do the trill slightly more elaborated with the double repetition, and at least with this action using 1-3 is much more, how to say, an easygoing thing rather than 3-2 that sometimes is for me a bit when there are longer trills. And if you don't feel that's so natural, as in my case, you can spend some time on the trill, remembering that although that is quite hidden, even in the trill, at times, not to say often, not to say always, I don't know, your arm might contribute with a rotation, okay? And this rotation, when you practice, can be, how to say, exaggerate to start with, to make sure that it's active, and then refining the game, you will limit that to the necessary degree. So try for a while to, how to say, reduce at zero what the fingers are doing and see how the rotation is itself capable of doing something good. Then I believe the best result comes out of cooperation between the different body parts, especially when you want to make it longer. Here, you see, it can be very tricky, right? So look at the rotation game hidden in this figure. So rotation here, again, again, again. Now rotation on the 1, and then 1-5. 5-1, and the rest of the chord. I don't even know what fingers I'm using, let me feel that. Yes, I like to use the 2-4. Also, it's not necessary to be so quick in the trill. I forgot myself. Just keep that in mind, that it can be very beautiful to make it delicate and kind of slow. It's just singing. And also the degree of the rotation used depends also on the kind of action that you have. The heavier it is, probably the rotation is needed more. The shallower and light it is, instead the fingers might suffice in a better way. So let's take the entire line here. Using the pedal now, I still don't use the pedal, but I try just with fingers to see the best I can do in terms of legato. And after 2-3 times, I see if I can refine better with the pedal. Alright, so the first section is completed and there is a repeat sign. I like very much if I repeat a section, not to do exactly the same things I did. And very simply, a first thing you might do would be you play kind of with full sound the first time, play it in a softer way the second time, or vice versa. Or you can keep the same sound level and details could be performed in slightly different ways. So often I like the first time to play in a more declamating way, and when I repeat it in a softer way, and why not with the soft pedal then. Let's go on with the second section. Left hand. I think very important to start with, forget about legato with these thirds and the chord, just practice again the solidity of your fall landing on the keys. And you can work on a shorter segment compared to what I have just done. After you have practiced that a few times, when you start feeling, I am really there, I am solid in landing on these notes, you can try to see to link them, but always keeping in the background a sense of relaxation or fluidity. It might take a while. I mean really to spend a couple of minutes or more in one specific step to see how to make it easy and fluid if you want to make it legato. And sometimes you might realize that when there are multiple notes, to sticking with a physical legato is against fluidity in music, and you had better to forget about that and either to find a musical sense in a disconnection or at the piano to compensate with the pedal. And I know that very good pianists hate to say this, but I have seen myself sometimes with some very reputable concert pianists in some classes saying, you shouldn't use the pedal to make the legato, and then it is what they are doing in reality when they play. And notice how intense, expressive is this harmonic counterpoint simple gain in the left hand. Explore the possibilities of your own expressivity in terms of phrasing, so where you want to keep your legato, when you want to introduce an interruption, in terms of slight modifications in your touch to highlight certain note, to make crescendo. There is no one single way. Find your way and do also nonsensical things to understand where the right possibility for your taste and your music stay. With some pedal. So let's go on. We were here. Use a different fingering. So the trills here. Always the scale is a weight shifting, especially here, that is not, that scale of perhaps the late 18th century to show off a bit of technique, but is a singing ornamentation. So try to be very fluid, very continuous in that. what fingering I was using in this scale, because it's been now a couple of months I didn't play this piece, so sorry if I'm not very consistent in maintaining the same fingering. I am a bit lazy in writing it down, and I didn't do that, but I remember when I was studying, you know, every day a little bit, I kind of was feeling my preference. But there is not a single possibility in fingering in this case, so just don't pay excessive attention on that. So important this. Same here. Remember, if trills scare you a bit, avoid them at the beginning at least, and then you will see later. And when you reach that point, you will feel that, however, you already built up a very nice music under your hands. Suggest not to wear yourself in maintaining this G super long until the next bar, because however its effect is quite, how to say, faded. And so first of all, my advice is to stay fluid and easy. Play it very simple, or if you feel you can do it. So where are we? Here. Very simple, right? But very important, so try to be intense, present. Here we have this very nice dialogue, so be aware of that, enjoy that so you can express that. I am very brutal right now because I'm just, doing the rough carving out from my marble block of the rough shape, and then I will refine later. Now I want to accomplish solidity, comfort in each position that I'm playing. Okay, here. Did you see what I did? Right hand. Yeah, so these things are nearly the same of what we did at the beginning, right? Except these ornaments and perhaps some details, however. Yes, I always play with 3, 2 and 1. Very nice. So I hope that some of the ideas I showed you could be of your interest and of help for your work. It's a beautiful piece of music, so I most of all wish you to enjoy your practice with it, and perhaps we'll see again in one of my next videos. Bye!